Hello and welcome everybody. It is now 12:30 on Thursday, the 14th of January, and my name is Michelle Beckett, and I'm one half of ADHD Unlocked alongside Steph Camilleri, and we are a unique support and resource community for adults with ADHD, which I'll tell you a little bit more about at the end. But personally, I'm now 48, but I was diagnosed with ADHD myself 4 years ago, age 44. After struggling for many decades. So I want to share with you today what I've learned about habits over the years. So this is a special webinar to help you guys to embed habits and why it's really important. So I hope you're all well. So thank you very much for joining us. It's snowing like crazy up here in North Yorkshire. So I hope you're all managing to commute to your bedrooms during this terrible, terrible weather. But it's really, really good to have you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some slides and talk you through the importance of habits and how they relate to adults with ADHD and what we can do to try and embed them or break bad habits as well. Now, feel free to add questions within the chat section on Zoom, which I'll look at and pick up during the presentation. However, there will be an opportunity at the end for proper Q&A, and you can come in and speak if you wish, and that will not be recorded, so you can feel free to speak openly. And if you mention something in the chat, I won't mention you by name, so it can all be kept private, so don't worry about privacy here, so you can feel free to ask questions and be as free as possible. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm now going to attempt to share my screen, which is always a little bit hairy with Zoom because sometimes it goes a little bit wrong. So bear with me, and hopefully you can pick some stuff up along the way, but feel free to ask questions during the chat. So here we go. So hopefully you can all see my screen. So this is all about good and bad habits, which is something that we definitely struggle with ADHD. So both forming good habits, which we find difficult for lots of reasons, because we need routine as adults with ADHD, and we need to bypass our executive dysfunction and decision making on a daily basis so it doesn't sort of drain us and drain our energy. However, we don't like routine, do we? We like to rebel against routine. We get bored with routine. So forming good habits for adults with ADHD is particularly challenging. And breaking bad habits for the same reason. Because of our neurotransmitter deficiencies and dopamine, we tend to get into bad habits more readily than the neurotypicals, shall we say. So we're more likely to be addicted to cigarettes, more likely to use alcohol, more likely to stay up late, not go to bed, not have a routine, to eat unhealthily because we don't plan ahead. And all of this kind of stuff makes it much, much, much more difficult for us with ADHD to embed good habits or break bad ones. So there's lots we can do. Now, there's a reason why Mark Zuckerberg here, who is the founder of Facebook, wears the same outfit every day. And that is, he doesn't need to use the brain power to think about what he's going to wear on that day, which I think is wonderful. So if only all aspects of our life went as smoothly as this, but would we get bored? So how do we address this? Now, one of the books that I'd like to recommend, and one of my Bibles, if you like, for embedding habits has been this book. Now, it's written by an author called James Clear. It's freely available on Amazon, Waterstones, or other online bookstores at the moment. But he describes habits as the compound interest of self-improvement, which as adults with ADHD, it's all fine. That sounds a bit financy and a bit boring. We don't like doing compound interest. We like things to be new and exciting. However, if we build good habits, our life will improve in a compound basis, in the same way that if you invest some money in a bank account and it's gaining interest, it will grow above and beyond what you've already put into the bank account. So that's his argument. And this is why it's incredibly important to embed habits. And I'm going to show you how we can kind of make a move towards doing that without being too hard on ourselves and without making it so that we're going all out and trying to embed 10 habits at once, so we're more likely to fail. So here are some habit factoids, which I quite like. Now, half of the time that you're awake is spent with automatic behaviours. So that might be breathing, the way you walk, blah, blah, blah. And so you're spending 1 out of every 2 minutes doing something you're not even aware of. So I think that's brilliant, because your brain only makes up 2% of your total mass of you as a whole, but it consumes 25% of all the oxygen, the energy that you take in. So automating your behaviours in the form of habits and making them automatic so you don't have to think about them is one of the best ways to make your brain more energy efficient. And given that our brain goes off on all sorts of tangents and has 1,000,001 thoughts at once with ADHD, this is something we should be working towards, so that we're freeing up more capacity and more brain energy to do the tasks that we need to do. Now, I found this fact really, really interesting. When we embed a habit and it becomes automatic, they become embedded literally in the basal ganglia part of the brain. Now, I know I'm getting a little bit technical here, but it's a primitive part of the brain at the base of the brain. And as far as we know with science at the moment, that part of the brain is completely unaffected by ADHD. Unlike the prefrontal cortex, which governs complex thinking, which is the bit that we have problems with, executive function, deciding what to do, decision making, all of this kind of thing, task management. So habits that are embedded in your basal ganglia can even survive brain damage. So I'm of the opinion, and I'm going to go all out here and say this, that if we can embed a habit properly so that it becomes automatic, and we automatically do it, like maybe brushing your teeth at night or your first cup of tea in the morning, then this will bypass a lot of our executive dysfunction that we have with ADHD. And I know adults with autism also have executive dysfunction. So I think we can make our lives so much more easy, workable, and kind of bypass a lot of our ADHD traits only if we can embed habits. Now, that's easier said than done, because I'm saying this going, oh, our ADHD will be mostly cured if we embed habits. We don't like habits, we don't like routine, we find it really difficult to stick to something, and we need to stick to something to embed a habit. So here's what we're going to do to try and make this happen. Now, it takes on average 66 days to embed a habit, okay? So if you're doing 50 sit-ups or you're having a glass of water automatically when you wake up, this is the graph that I'm showing you here. So on average, it takes 66 days to embed this habit. So we need help to try and get these habits embedded. We need to enlist the help of community, you need to invest a buddy, and you need to have all sorts of visual prompts, which I'll show you in a bit, and all sorts of reasons and motivations to hit the 66 days. And then it becomes easy. Then it becomes something that is automatic, and we're bypassing our ADHD in the same way that Mark Zuckerberg is bypassing the decision making of having to wear that t-shirt every day. It just happens, and it will just happen. So this isn't about breaking life-altering addictions, and I just wanted to say this, that if you're on here, if you've got problems with narcotics or gambling or alcohol misuse, you will need more specialist help. For example, a 12-step program. So this webinar is not about more serious life-altering addictions, although some of the steps may help with this, but you do need more serious help for that. So that's not what I'm talking about today, although this sort of thing will help if you want to quit smoking, for example. And quitting smoking is hard for adults with ADHD because nicotine is a stimulant drug that helps with our ADHD symptoms, which is why we're 78% more likely to smoke with ADHD. So it will help with those sort of things, but I'm not here to kind of break serious addictions. So I just wanted to give that as a caveat, really, just in case you're wondering for help with that kind of sort of thing. Now, going back to the previous slide, quick discussion. Now, we talk a lot in coaching about goals and motivation, and we do need goals and motivation in order to stick to something. However, the bit that we miss out because it's boring to us with ADHD is the habits and systems. And I confess, over the years, I've had so many systems and habits and all of that kind of thing to try and apps and books and methods, and this will be the new thing. This is going to be the new system that's going to change my life. But what I haven't done is put in place the daily embedding of that. I've just expected to a new system to just change my life instantly, and then after a week, if it doesn't, I've given up and I'm bored. This app's going to change my life. This new planner is going to change my life. This is going to be the one that's going to get me organized with my ADHD. But what I haven't done is look at how I can embed that system and keep it going until it becomes automatic. Or I've just looked at my goals and gone, yeah, this is my goal. How do I work towards it, without putting habits and systems in place and sticking to them so that it happens. And actually, we do need both. So people talk about your goals being the more important motivator, but what actually makes the massive difference to a successful outcome is your habits and systems. So you can have all this motivation to be towards a goal, but it's no good if you haven't got what's underpinning it. And that bottom bit of the triangle is your habits and systems, unfortunately. And it's something that we don't like to hear. But I know this is a little blurry and I do apologise, but hopefully you can read it. But James Clear talks about habit stacking in his book, Atomic Habits. Now, habit stacking means that we can easily kind of pair a new habit with an existing habit that we do. So we can do a little bit of work and go, what do we do already that's automatic? So, for example, every morning I'll make a cup of tea and I'll brew it for 4 minutes, my Yorkshire tea, because it's very important to me. So whilst I'm doing that, I could stack a habit to do maybe some push-ups on the worktop, or maybe some wall sits, or maybe do a plank whilst I'm waiting, so that I can do some toning exercises or some weights whilst I'm waiting for that. So for example, whilst you're brushing your teeth, you could do a squat or your leg lifts if it's to do with exercise. So whilst you're at work, when you have your lunch, you could go for your walk outside. So make that something that you do every day. I know this is more difficult during the pandemic, but you could start a routine where when you have your lunch, after your lunch, because you're going to eat lunch, hopefully you do, then you go for a walk outside. And if you forget to buy food, or you're like me and go, oh, I've run out of milk, or I haven't planned the meal, go to your grocery store at a certain time each day on your way home. So there's all this kind of thing. If you watch a TV show regularly, you could, be on the bike, do some stretching exercise, some yoga exercises, all this kind of thing. It's called habit stacking, and it means something that's you already do every day that you don't have to think about what could you pair it with. And that's a really, really good methodology to embed a new habit. But there's lots we can do to form good habits too. So with ADHD, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, because we've got so much going on in our head. So what we need to do is we need to form a good habit. We need to make it obvious. So, for example, I've just said, whilst you're waiting for your tea to brew, do your push-ups on the worktop, maybe in the kitchen. But how am I going to remember to do that? Do I stick a little notice up, a little piece of card, or glue it to the worktop, write it down? Do I say, remember to do your push-ups? Do you put something on the mirror, for example, when you're brushing your teeth, to remember to do, if you're into positive affirmations and positive self-talk, to say, today I'm going to be calm, today I'm going to be this. Do you need these visual cues? Because I argue with ADHD, we absolutely need these visual cues. So either mark it in your diary, have alerts, use technology, use your, maybe your Amazon Alexa or your Google Home or Apple Watch to remind you to do things. So you make it obvious. So you have reminders, and that could be technological or visual. Write them down, use habit stacking, and your environment. So if you need to eat healthily, for example, and you need to eat more fruit, move the fruit bowl. Put it next to the kettle, for example, so that you're more likely to eat the fruit. So make it attractive as well. So pair it with a nice action. So, for example, something that you do that you enjoy, like watch a TV program at the same time every week, do something to pair that action, that good habit with that, so it feels good. Be involved in a good culture where people are positive, have a positive mindset. So, for example, the ADHD Unlocked community, so that people are encouraging one another, have a motivation ritual every day. So it's nice, maybe doing some relaxation, light a candle, that kind of thing. Make it easy as well. So another thing that James Clear talks about is to try and keep your habit to just 2 minutes. And I started doing this with my yoga, which is now embedded as a daily habit. And some days I think, oh, I can't be bothered to do 20 minutes of yoga or 15 minutes or even 10. But then you just do 2, so you don't miss a day. I'm only going to do 2 minutes of yoga. I can manage that. He also says things like, if you're going to get into the habit of flossing your teeth every day, just do one tooth if that's all you can be bothered to do. Because then what's more likely to happen is you're more likely to carry on. But if you don't think, oh, I've got to do the whole lot, you're more likely to make a start with it. So keep it small, decrease the number of steps that you have to do in order to form that good habit. So I'm currently doing Couch to 5K, that running app, because I'm terribly, terribly unfit. So I was only doing a bit of walking and a bit of yoga, so no cardio work. So what I've had to do is leave my running shoes out in the porch. So instead of being in the back of the cupboard, they're out in the porch. And I set out my running gear the night before. And if it's going to be cold, there's a hat there. So it's easy. I'm decreasing the number of steps. So if I'm not looking at the rain and the cold on a morning going, I really can't be bothered, oh, I'm going to have to dig out my hat, I'm decreasing the number of steps in order to embed that good habit. And also making it satisfying. So have rewards, have a habit tracker. So what I want to show you is something that I use, and it's called the Seinfeld method. And it's all about crossing off a good habit every day and seeing it on a visual chart. Now, Seinfeld, the comedian, got into this habit of writing every day, crossing off and not wanting to break the chain. So what I do is I cross off when I've done my yoga, I cross off when I've been outside and had my green time, and I cross off when I've written in my gratitude diary. Now, I'm trying to do all 3 every day, but I'm not beating myself up about it. But it is more satisfying, it is more rewarding when I can cross it off and I'm not seeing the chain broken. So that's something that you could do as well. Now, the opposite is true for breaking bad habits. So make it invisible. So, for example, I have a bad habit of in the evenings, like craving crisps and carbs. When your meds wear off, if anybody else is on medication, you get that, oh, I'm really hungry, I want to eat crisps and hummus. So instead of the crisps being in the kitchen cupboard, if you need to have crisps in the house for the kids or whatever, put them in the garage in a box, put them high up. I'm only 4'11.5". So I've put things high up. I've put the remainder of the Quality Street for Christmas on top of the kitchen cupboard. And it worked last night because I was thinking, I really need a chocolate. I really need to have a little piece of chocolate, even though I've gone over my calories for the day. But I could not be bothered to get a ladder to get up and reach for the Quality Street. I couldn't be bothered. So I made it more difficult. I hid the chocolates. I've hidden the crisps. So make it invisible. You could do that with cigarettes. You could make it difficult, not have them in the house. Don't have them in the house. So make it unattractive. So visual cues of the positive effects of giving up. So a pair of healthy lungs, for example, if you're trying to give up smoking, have that picture there and go, oh God, right, okay. That kind of thing, visual reminders really, really help us. So as I've said, increase the friction and the number of steps so that you do the opposite. So you decrease the friction to embed a good habit, but you increase the friction. So put things out in the shed, for example, or in the garage, and then make it unsatisfying. So have accountability with other people, for example. So you could make a public commitment on Facebook, for example, or buddy up with somebody. Now, this is a this is a great tactic to do, but it's a little bit hardcore. I saw a guy on Twitter talking about how he wanted to get up at 5 o'clock every morning to do exercise or something, which sounds a bit hardcore to me. However, what he did was he had a tweet set up automatically every day, which was espousing views that he didn't believe in. I think he was gay, and it was sort of an anti-gay tweet, and also donating money from his account to an anti-gay charity or something, religious charity that he didn't believe in. But if he didn't get up in time to delete that tweet or cancel it for that day, it would automatically go. So he had a kind of reason, like a real stick, if you like, to kind of embed that habit of getting up. So you could employ the nuclear button if you wanted, about how, you could set an automatic tweet to go, Michelle hasn't got up early today, or Michelle hasn't done her exercise today, or whatever, unless you go to the effort of cancelling it. So public accountability in a contract works, even going so far as signing a contract psychologically, that somebody in your household or your family, or somebody in the ADHD Unlocked community could help you with. You could sign a contract to say, I will not do this, or I will give up alcohol for the whole of January. I know a lot of people are not doing dry January at the moment because of the pandemic, so maybe that's not a good example. However, what habits do you want to break? Now, there's certain habits that, if you either embed the good ones or get rid of the bad ones, will have an impact on everything else, like a domino effect. So I found when I stopped having my phone by my bed at night, that all other habits became easier to embed that I wanted to embed. So, because I wasn't staying up late, like looking at tweets or the latest Trump tweets, not that they're relevant anymore because Trump has been banned from Twitter. So I wasn't kind of, falling down Wikipedia or YouTube holes late at night on my phone, because I'd gone to bed and the phone was on the landing, plugged in, charging. And what I also wasn't doing was looking at my phone first thing in the morning, so that I can have a peaceful morning, get up, do my routine, breathe, have my cup of tea, and do that kind of peaceful routine, so your day starts a lot better and you're less tired. So I was less tired, so I was more likely to exercise. I was more likely to be able to get to the shops because I had more time, so I could eat more healthily. So all of these habits just became much more easy to complete and to embed in my life once I'd got rid of certain bad habits. So what I would urge you to do is look at maybe some habits, either good or bad, that would help enormously to have an impact on maybe other habits in your life. So what I would like you to try, pick one good habit that you'd like to embed, but try and make that a keystone habit. So the one for me was looking at my phone late at night and not having it by my bed. So I suppose that was a bad habit that I'd like to break, but it was a good habit in terms of I'm going to bed without my phone. Pick one bad habit that you'd like to break. That might be not eating crisps, not eating chocolate, one of those kind of things. Apply at least one of the laws or methods to help you that we've outlined. So that's, increasing the friction, putting the crisps or chocolate in the garage, putting them up high, making it easier to get out and exercise, so you're decreasing the steps. If you feel brave enough, maybe make a public commitment for accountability for that. So you could say, right, I'm going to do this. Please help me. I'm going to check in every day. I'm going to let you know how I'm doing. I'm going to make it much more likely to happen. And also, why don't you join the ADHD Unlocked member community? So we have a Facebook group, but we also have membership, and I'm going to talk you through the benefits of membership, and that can really help support you. The community can support you and give you lots more information to help embed these habits. But if you fall off the wagon, don't give up entirely, just get back on it. Okay, so don't beat yourself up, because what a lot of people do when they're embedding habit, go, well, I haven't done it for 3 days, so I may as well give up entirely. It doesn't matter now. Just keep getting back on and don't break the chain. So as Seinfeld says, why not try these visual motivators? And we quite like crossing things off. Or there's other things you can do. There's an app called Habitify, which gamifies doing habits, which I know a lot of people with ADHD, we like playing games on our phone. So maybe that would work. So think of different methods that you could use that are visual and are stimulating, that would help you either break bad habits or embed good ones. So just very, very briefly, before we move on to the Q&A, I'm going to talk you through ADHD Unlocked on what we do. But if you join our community, we have Monday webinars every week. So you can either access them live and join in, or you can self-learn, browse by topic. We've got dozens and dozens every week. So you can do a guided learning path, look at the slides. If you join our community, we've got a fantastic members portal now, which is laid out beautifully, which you can access if you become a member. We also run weekly procrastination busting sessions called our Smash It sessions, which everybody joins for an hour and gets tasks done that they've been putting off. And we've had many members who've been putting off tasks for sometimes a couple of years that they've got done during a Smash It session. You've seen the weight lifted and we've seen people cry. And we have music on in the background and they're fun and they're a real sense of community. So we do Smash It sessions either at Tuesday lunchtime or a Tuesday evening, and we alternate. We have Wednesday member meetups on Zoom, so you can talk and chat. They're either at 12:30 on a Wednesday or 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, and we alternate those as well. And they're brilliant for sharing. They're not recorded, and it's just about sharing all the challenges that we have, all the wins that we have, and learning from each other as a community. A really important resource, especially during COVID. We also have an affiliate program at the moment, so that you can actually basically recommend other people to join ADHD Unlocked and become a community recruiter, and you can earn money or give that money back in, so that people who can't afford to join, and it is only the cost of a takeaway every month, so very, very affordable anyway, that they can have the benefit of membership. So this is something that we could do, is become a community recruiter. So that's really, really important. And I'm going to go to questions in a minute because I can see that there's some Q&A. So I'll just whistle through. We have accountability body system in the members directory, so you can have profiles a little bit like a social network within the membership. And on that members directory, you can find a business partner or exchange services, or just find somebody that's going through the same challenges as you. So really, really exciting. So if you'd like to find out more, go to adhdunlocked.co.uk or members.adhdunlocked.co.uk/shop to join us. And I know there's quite a few members on this call that will kind of tell you all about the benefits of membership, but there's a lot. So have a question here from an attendee. What are my tips to execute the habitual actions when you're feeling stressed or in a low mood? Now that's difficult, because when you're in that low place, your motivation and your energy levels, and sometimes you can't even think about the steps that are required in order to go, look, I know I'll feel better if I go out for a walk, but I can't even get myself out of that hole in order to do so. Or I know I'll feel better if I eat healthily, go to the fruit and veg shop and get some stuff for soup rather than just ordering a takeaway. So this is really difficult. So it's about those small steps. So what I would say to the person that is asking me this question about stress in a low mood, take 2 minutes, my rule of 2, stop and breathe. So go away, go, right, I'm going to just sit quietly for 2 minutes and I'm going to breathe. I'm going to think about my next step. So, and then maybe think, okay, have I got the energy? Just do 2 minutes outside. Can I just walk down the road just to get outside? Can I do 2 minutes just to take a shower? Can I just do some deep breathing for 2 minutes? And that will then put you in a little bit of a better place to start thinking about those habits. Think, okay, I feel better, so maybe I should do 2 minutes of breathing a few times a day, or I feel a little better now. But that rule of 2 and the small steps, rather than thinking there's no point in me going outside unless I'm going for a 45-minute run, there's no point me eating healthily unless I'm going for it properly, or I'm doing this. No, just slightly edge yourself towards better habits, and just do floss one tooth, take 1 minute in the shower, breathe for 2 minutes. That's all you need to do. So that's something that I would espouse there. And also, how do we stay motivated during lockdown? Very, very, very good question. How do we stay motivated during lockdown? It's difficult because we're out of routine and we can't go anywhere. And if we're only going out for exercise once a day, and we can't maybe use accountability to meet other people, you know, we can't do a running club, for example, at the moment, because you're only allowed to exercise with a person from one other household and be 2 meters apart. So this is difficult, and this is where the online community comes in during lockdown. This is why it's more important to stay connected, to get support from the online community, from people who get it. Use our Smash It sessions, for example, or join our Wednesday meetups, or watch our Monday webinars or our Friday recap webinars, in order to stay connected and stay motivated and realize that other people are going through the same thing. But let's not kid ourselves that this is not hard and go, oh yeah, it's fine. If you just put your crisps on a shelf in the garage, you'll be fine. No, it's much more stressful. You're much more likely to crave crisps. You're much more likely to not want to go out. It's scary, for example. But this is where the community comes in, and know that it's more important to keep your tank topped up at this time. And by that, I mean all of those self-care tasks that you need to do, such as taking time out to breathe, getting outside every day, if that's all you do. These are the things that will really help. Another thing that has really, really helped me is actually using a gratitude diary. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a skeptic, I'm an atheist, and I don't buy into all that crystal and Reiki stuff. I thought gratitude was a bit airy-fairy and a bit woo. However, there's lots of really, really important science to back up how just writing 3 things a day down on a piece of paper or in an app about what's good in your life can actually have a massive impact on the rest of your well-being. And there've been some scientific studies done to show that people who practice gratitude every day are more likely to eat healthily and are more likely to exercise. So that is what the importance of gratitude is. Because gratitude to me, I was like, oh, that sounds a bit airy fairy, a bit kind of, you know, let's have a Himalayan salt lamp and some crystals, which it's fine for a lot of people. And if that's you, that's great. But it wasn't for me. But gratitude is really, really, really important. So even if you do, during this lockdown, get outside just for 2 minutes and have some fresh air, because that's difficult. Just get outside, just have your daily exercise outside. Even if you just write down 3 things a day that you're grateful for, and just think about how you can be more healthy, or even just take 2 minutes to do some deep breathing and give yourself that space. That's all you can do. And small steps to keep you motivated. Think floss 1 tooth, think 1 minute of exercise, and that's all you need to do. Sometimes I'll just put a really upbeat dance track on downstairs and think, I can't be bothered to go for a run today, but I'll just dance around the kitchen, and that uplifts you. You know, connect to people in the community. So that's really, really important. So that's how I'd say how you stay motivated during lockdown. Connect. And as I've said, you know, maybe join the ADHD Unlocked community. If you're not ready to sign up as a member yet, maybe sign up for the newsletter, or join the Facebook group, the main Facebook group, which is ADHD Unlocked community, and chat to people there, and become part of the wider community. So do that. That's really, really important. So somebody's just asked if the slides will be made available. Yes, I will make the slides available, so that's not a problem. And the recording as well will be made available. And somebody's just asked, any tips for managing a routine and navigating looking after a 4-month-old baby as a new mum, plus lockdown, so many changes. Wow, yes. A newborn baby, and their routines are going to be adjusting all of the time as they go through different sleep routines and feed at different times. So my heart goes out to you, but maybe this is a time to do some habit stacking here to this particular attendee. So if you are feeding your baby, maybe that's the time you put some kind of meditation on, or a guided meditation on headphones, or you do some deep breathing, or you write your gratitude diary if you've got a free hand, that kind of thing. So maybe stack the habits that you need to do with the things that your baby's doing at the time. So every time your baby has a sleep, maybe then you do something so that your baby's acting as a cue for habit stacking. But it is difficult because, you know, not only have you got lockdown and all that change of routine, but you're navigating a 4-month-old baby. But what I will say to you is you're doing bloody brilliantly to manage lockdown with a baby. So just be so kind to yourself and give yourself a pat on the back, and whatever you manage to do will be brilliant. But as I say, small steps, 1 minute of deep breathing, floss one tooth, and if that's all you can manage, and give yourself a pat on the back for doing that. So yeah, great question. So has anybody else got any questions, or does anybody want to come in, you know, maybe and speak live, in which case I will stop the recording for people if need be. But we are now at 35 minutes, so if nobody's got any more questions, please do feel free to raise your hand if there are any more. But I will make the slides available because there is some useful stuff. It is so much harder for us with ADHD to embed good habits, but the payoffs for us are so much more because we're bypassing that executive dysfunction. So it's easier for other people to break a bad habit or embed a good one. But once we crack it, the rewards for us are much greater. So good luck to you. Do join our community, sign up for the newsletter, pay as a member. It's only £29 a month, or there's a yearly discount. And then once you join, you can maybe earn your money back as a community recruiter, or maybe give that money for somebody that can't afford that, that's on a very low income and maybe on income support or universal credit. So that's the system that we're embedding at the moment. But we're here, Steph and I, as both with adults with ADHD. We know how much it hurts. We know the pain of not living up to your potential. We know the challenges that we have on a daily basis. Even if we are medicated, medication will go so far, but we need the other support as well. So do join us. And this is why we set up this ADHD Unlocked community. So thank you so much, everybody. Now take care, stay safe, and remember, small steps, and congratulate yourself. Be kind to yourself, because this stuff is hard. And if you fall off the wagon, just get back on. And, you know, you'll notice the compound interest effect, that your life will start to become much easier. So thank you for all your lovely comments that you're putting in the chat as well. And yeah, really good to share this with you. So go and think about what Keystone habits that you want to embed, and let us know how you get on. I'll be really keen to hear. So thank you so much, everybody, and take care. And I'll make the recording and the slides available. So thank you. Bye bye all. Thanks.